Consider that the only thing that is holding you back from enjoying life is a fierce inner critical voice that won't leave you alone. The core wounding of codependency is that we were never taught what it means to love ourselves. And by self-love I mean we never cultivated an inner voice that loves ourselves. Instead, we have a fierce inner critic that judges and insults and scorns and doubts ourselves. It is a perpetuation of our childhood conditioning. As a result, we feel like we are trapped all alone in the darkness within ourselves. It's similar to our fear of death. It's immense anxiety and existential angst. Not having self-love and feeling all alone in the dark within ourselves, we seek externally for some sort of validation that we are even alive. We will settle for anything. If someone validates us, we will be anything they want us to be. Just please don't send us back into the darkness. We will settle for scraps of love and change our personality and endure incredible suffering with someone who doesn't love us just so long as every once in a while they validate us. Sex is a big draw. We truly get to interact with one another and feel validated until it's over, and then we feel miserable again, and they are back to denying us even basic friendship. But somehow we feel compelled to stay. Maybe we are helping them. Maybe they'll change. Maybe we'll figure out how to exist in this impossible situation. The truth is we are addicted to externalized validation because we don't know how to love ourselves. We are going through an addiction withdrawal. And so our mind is always overactive with trying to find a way to obtain some sort of externalized validation. Here's the thing. The people we are having these relationship issues with are not compatible. If we had self-love, that would just make sense. We love ourselves. We are okay by ourselves. This person is clearly not compatible with us. Thank you. And we move on. But we don't see it that way. We can fix them. We can fix ourselves. If they change and I change and we meet halfway, maybe it will work. Okay, they don't want to meet halfway, so I'm just going to abandon completely who I am in a desperate attempt that maybe they'll validate me. Okay, it's fine they treat me terribly. I can endure. It's too scary to leave. It truly leads to insanity. You will go crazy if you continue on this path. You completely lose touch with who you are. You no longer even know what brings you joy. You are in a constant state of fight or flight. The ego does not exist except as an entrenched thought form that thinks it is something other than itself. The ego only exists in relation to something else. That's why it is always comparing and judging. And as a thought form, ego is like a dream. If we quiet our minds long enough, the thought form that is ego fades away back into the unconscious. The ego is a shadow. Approach a shadow and it moves away from you. Run away from a shadow and it chases you. All one can do is shine the light of unconditional love on the ego to dissolve the shadow back into the light. The ego is our first wounded inner child, still trapped in an impossible childhood situation. It was the first time that the conditioned misperception arose out of consciousness that made us believe we are something other than ourself. This divide in ourself is the duality of our situation. We have a thinking mind that thinks it is separate from itself. This is what brings manifest creation into being. We exist in the manifest realm of duality. It's made of consciousness like a dream. This realm is thoughts forms that we've enmeshed and layered over the infinite light of ourself that reinforce to the ego that we are something other than ourself. The duality creates great suffering as we manifest ourself to be something that we are not, in a realm that does not exist except as a thought form like a dream. And the dream is ruled by the law of karma, causes great struggle until we realize the nature of the law, which is unconditional love. The truth is we are not in duality. It is an illusion of the thinking mind that thinks that the infinite light can be divided from itself. As we awaken from the illusion of being an ego, we remember our true being, beyond thought, which is infinite light. And as we unify into the infinite light of ourself, it dissolves the thought from the shadow that is ego back into the unconscious. As you unify into the timeless, you realize, beyond thought, that you were never separate from the infinite light, and that manifest creation was just an illusory manifestation of an ego that thought it was something other than itself. You can't divide the infinite. The ego does not exist except in relation to that which it is not. Once you realize what you aren't doesn't make any sense. The ego was an illusion of being trapped in time. But what we are as the self is infinite and timeless. Let go of thoughts and attachments to the egoic mind-body personality. The egoic mind-body personality is not yourself. The ego is a karmic manifestation of yourself, but the self transcends and is before the egoic thinking mind comes into being. What you are, as the self, cannot be understood by the finite egoic rational thinking mind, as what the self is infinite. Let go of all you think you are to remember your true being. Your perception of reality fades like a dream when you unify back into yourself. Your highest self is not a physical being. What you are as yourself, at the core, is unconditional love, which is infinite light that transcends even the word. You are the divine love that brings forth creation to guide yourself home to be yourself in oneness. Don't judge your own creation. Love all as yourself unconditionally. Go beyond whom you think you are to discover your true self. You as the self are infinite love, for all is one. You tolerate everyone. Radical acceptance is your very being. You love all as you love yourself. You see no distinctions in the karmic realm. You do not try to control others. You do not care if people agree with you. You need no external validation. You as the self are unchanging peace and love. Many in this crazy karmic manifestation of separation from ourself are caught up in the division with strong opinions about the way things should be. That is not the path to discovering the self and being in oneness with yourself. The path to the self is to see through the division and to love all unconditionally without any attachment. Love all as one as yourself. That is how you unify back into yourself to transcend the realm of egoic duality and reunite with yourself in oneness. The self is the infinite light of unity and oneness with ourself. Call it what you will, source, Tao, infinite oneness, or any other name to describe the unnameable. The unified self, beyond thought, is the infinite light of God, all of creation unified as one through unconditional love. The key takeaway from all of this is that we lack self-love. Our inner voice is a perpetuation of our childhood conditioning. If we were to go inward and listen to our inner voice consciously, we would find that our inner voice doesn't love us or believe in us. It doubts everything. It judges and criticizes everything we do. It's no wonder that we feel awful. It's nonstop. We are under assault from our childhood conditioning through our inner voice. The good news is that once we realize the problem, it's really not hard to learn to love yourself. It's a habit. It just takes practice. You actively use your inner voice directed at your heart to say nice things to yourself, to love and comfort and be there for yourself. And like any habit, if you really practice and work at it, pretty soon your inner voice will transform from judging and criticizing you to unconditionally loving you. Wait till you feel the radiant light of your own self-love. There was a time we had self-love as children before it was conditioned away. Self-love is our natural state of being. We used to have an inner voice that was a constant companion and loved us and encouraged us to follow our joy. When you have an inner voice that loves you, you feel abiding inner peace. You don't have any fear or worries. You are not living with the constant worry and anxiety that your inner voice is going to judge and criticize you. Self-love just takes practice. If this resonates, consider an inner child healing practice. In the short term, it will teach you to self-soothe, to calm your wounded inner child. And in the longer term, it will transform your inner voice to be unconditionally loving, and then you just get to be yourself without any fear or anxiety. You'll love to love and love to be loved, but you won't need externalized love like an addiction. For those who are really caught up in existential angst and anxiety, forget dating. Just forget it. For a year or so, maybe longer. I mean, really consider putting dating on hold for a while, until you heal. You are in a state of panic and stuck in fight or flight mode. You just need calm and peace and self-love. We just don't know how to heal yet. And our fierce inner critic is in complete resistance to the idea that being alone is actually what we need. Again, because the fear of being alone is akin to our fear of death. All alone in the darkness with no one to even let us know we are alive. But that's just because we don't understand that what we are really seeking is our own self-love. We just didn't know it was possible. But it's very possible and life-transforming in ways you can't even imagine. You get to live life as yourself. You just get to be who you are, and you'll love being your authentic self. And you'll feel an abiding sense of inner peace and joy that is not dependent on the outer world to feel well. When we are stuck in codependency, we don't even know who we are. We morph for everyone. It's quite a lot of work to try to be whom we perceive others want us to be. When we learn to love ourselves, we are consistently ourselves. We follow our joy, and we don't change who we are to suit anyone. We just are ourselves. And that's when our light really shines. We meet our tribe because we are consistently ourselves, and thus attract people who like us for who we are. It's way more joyful to be with people who really enjoy being with you and love you for who you are. Wait until you discover your authentic self underneath all the conditioning. You are going to love yourself and really enjoy living in alignment with who you are. With just a little practice, you'll see how powerful self-love can be, and then healing just becomes intuitive. The more you struggle, the more you go inward and love the inner child that's crying out for your love. The more you struggle, the more you deepen your self-love to comfort yourself until your self-love grows so strong that you are healed. Hope this resonates. Truly, you are not alone. No, the inner critic is not getting what it wants by being alone for an extended period, but being alone is where you need to be to heal. Not being in a crazy-making relationship is necessary to heal codependency. Then you have the time to go inward and really make self-love a practice. Make the next year about learning to love yourself. It will be the most transformative year of your life. Once you've decided to make healing and inner peace in quiet and stillness and calm your first priority, most of the other problems fall away. Our greatest fear and anxiety in life is how to find someone to validate us. But when we discover that it is our own self-love that we are truly seeking, then healing really starts to take place. Put that other stuff aside for a while and make unconditional self-love your journey.